tutor. He does that ideally 5 days a week for about 30 to 40 minutes a day during that independent reading time, and depending on rotation, it could be at station time as well. And I am not able yet, because he started it just last week, to get data, but that would be our data source for him. But we are able to collect data in other areas. So he also gets one-on-one remediation twice a week with Ms. Hamilton. He does receive ELL support along with these interventions. And so working with her, she's specifically working on that one-to-one letter sound correspondence. She was able to collect data in terms of like a quick spelling check last week on the 15th, and she worked with him on short A. And this week I gave him a short vowel quiz, and he retained the short A sound. None of the other vowel sounds, but that short A was there. So we were really pleased to see that progress. He also gets small group guided reading 3 days a week with a level group. And so I'm looking at actually nonsense word fluency, progress monitoring. That's stayed pretty steady for the past 2 weeks, which makes sense if we're starting from square one with vowel sounds. And finally, he's participating in a Words Their Way remedial spelling group, which again met last week but hasn't met yet this week, so I haven't scored, but that is the same focus as he's been doing with his one-on-one. So that's our reading. So in terms of reading, we're looking actually to maintain these interventions for a few more weeks before we determine new goals or whether or not they're actually.
So what would your goal be for him to do what? Be able to do what? And it can be just as simple as master short A and short I. Master short A, CBC, and CCBC.
I mean, I think
starting with the
that's our
vowels
goal.
Sure.
So my suggestion for you would be to tell him by the end of 6 weeks, we're going to give you this test. It's going to have 20 words on it, and you're going to need to be able to spell 15 of them correctly. And they're going to be some nonsense words, some real words with the CBC short A sound, or CBC short A versus CBC short I, if we're going to try to introduce an I, because A and I are the natural progression. And we'll check on that.
Yeah, because he has the we can
Might
introduce
add to
another
that.
short vowel sound. Okay. In terms of his math data, would you like to speak to what you've been doing in math class history?
The good thing is that he likes to participate. I think that is really great because he comes with a positive attitude at the table. And my observation is just in the morning meeting. I know in the morning when we're doing our daily warm-up that he was having problems copying information. So if you're gonna copy, obviously I can't see the data. I can't know what he's supposed to do or not. So what I did was a couple of times I kind of gave him copies that were already made, and that sort of take away the stress on him of having to copy.
So one support was to have it pre-copied for him, so he doesn't. That eliminates that barrier. Okay.
And then I noticed in terms of the reading and the processing for him. So there's certain words and the key words in the problem that was preventing him from really solving the problem. So it's not like he doesn't know how to solve the problem. The problem is understanding these key words that would allow him to move on. So once I pulled him and I highlight like certain words or kind of bring it to his attention, what it is that you don't know, he'll tell you what he doesn't understand. And then you're able to, assist him that way. So all the work that we were doing before, that was a problem because I kept thinking slow, he doesn't get it, is it too difficult? And I kind of figure out, kind of narrow it down. He's just having problems processing. He has a problem writing, he has a problem processing. So what I've done is to give him more simpler problems, and then when he gets the problem, is to help him to read the problem and to kind of build that understanding so he's able to tell you what he knows. The one good thing that works for him is using manipulatives to help him to explain. So we were doing a lot with multiplication and with problems. So he's able to tell you, this is a group, is this a group? He's able to, this is not a group, but I'm able to manipulate and use it and really help him to explain himself. So right now where we are is going back and giving him more simple problems so he can be more successful in what he's doing. Homework is usually a challenge, of course, because there's, I guess, not much support. But so what we're trying to do, since he stays on academics, is to work with him and provide that support.
So one of the suggestions I might offer, since we're now noticing, it's not that he cannot do math, it's that he cannot read the math.
Math, yeah.
If we scribe for him and read the problems to him so that he's just telling us what it is he needs to do. That will give us a different look at his data
Yes.
for math. Maybe he can do a lot with math. I think our data, like we said, is skewed because he can't read it and he can't write it.
Listening comprehension.
He has very high
Yes,
listening.
very
So the
high
strength is the listening comprehension. So we need to do a little more work with collecting data using those supports and scaffolds so that we know where his deficit truly is. He might be a very good math student. We just don't know because we're testing him the wrong way. So moving forward, what are our next steps for him?
We have 2 minutes.
Okay.
So I think because I'm in your room from 8:45 to 9:30, and that's mostly the problem of the day and the morning meeting, I could take some of that time to just work with him on learning those math vocabulary words that, I mean, he might not have an understanding of like letter, sound, correspondence, but he can start memorizing the words that he's gonna need to know for the math lessons that you'll be giving to him.
Just to piggyback off of finding the time to do all this, Ms. Hamilton and I discussed looking at some of the kids that were our priority students, our red students, and if you do a morning warm-up and you see that where we're seeing that those kids can't do it, I found time that during the general warm-up for most of the kids, or that would be a good time to pull them to do an RTI block is what we're calling it. So the first 15, 20 minutes, just to eat them as frequently as we can during that warm-up. So I think we set a time for hours that would best fit would be Tuesday and Wednesday, since we don't have any meetings. Tuesday and Wednesday, first thing, 8:45 to 9, 9:05, because in the math classroom.
That corresponds with warm-up.
But yeah, or whatever time slot you have for your warm-up, would be a good time for you to pull who you need, touch base with them, and then.
Yeah, and for Matthias, that might mean some vocabulary review for that specific day, since he may not be retaining those keywords in the moment, but previewing for him. These are the keywords you're going to see today.
Right.
You know, this word indicates division. This word indicates multiplication. Let's do one problem together. Okay, he'll be better set up to do that in that lesson for the day.
And so how do we collect that data? Because an intervention should only be 15 to 20 minutes. So it can be a simple data tracking tool where you say the intervention is morning warm-up RTI block and you list, review vocabulary, review or pre-teach vocabulary. And at the end of the week, your assessment would simply be, when you show the word or when you say the word, the child can perform the task.
Yes.
So if we say plus, he knows to put the addition sign, and he knows to join the two groups. If we say equal groups, he knows to do, what does that look like? What does that mean? So the assessment is we're going to track how many words he retains. Okay, so we managed to make it through 2 in our 30-minute block. So reasonably, you can do 2 to 3 children in your 30-minute block. Before you leave, however, I want you to turn your sheet over and look at those next step questions, and your homework assignment will simply be to answer 2 of each of those sections, 2 questions in each of those sections. Before you leave though, we need your exit ticket out the door.
Question.
Yes.
The questions you said to answer, do we answer them as a group or as individual?
As an individual teacher, because you're taking it back to your team. This is for you to take back to your team. I still need you to do, y'all are gonna do the 3, 2, 1. That's why you only had the 3, 2, 1. Thank you so much for being participants in this. I do appreciate you being open and allowing us to watch you do what you do best. I appreciate you. Thank you.